We're doing Ezra. Finally. This video's been a long time coming. I've been getting a lot of DMs of people saying, hey, I love your Ezra cosplay, how did you make it? It's a very long answer. I don't have the patience for typing out, but that I do have the patience for spending 10 times as long making a video about. So that's what this is. This is gonna be like a summary overview of the costume, of all the pieces, of all the decisions I made regarding this costume, like what materials to use, what props, and just briefly go over like how I did some of the things. It's not going to be a step-by-step. Those will come later. Right now I just wanted to show you everything because I know that just me doing that is going to help a lot of you. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff here. Ooh! Almost forgot this down. I've been trying to open this forever. This is a package I got from a popular cosplayer on Instagram, Ray Kenix. But it's actually kind of a sad story. Her cat, Kenix, was going through some health issues. The surgeries, all the medical stuff that it would have taken to heal him would have taken a lot of money. So she was trying to like sell prints, props, pieces of cosplay that she just had laying around, I guess, to try to raise money for these surgeries. But unfortunately, it was nicer to actually put him down. Before that happened, I did want to help, so I purchased some prints, and I still haven't opened them. But Ray, I hope you're doing well. I hope you can find some comfort in knowing that Kenix is in a better place and that you have friends who are willing to support you and who care. And also, no one's ever really gone. It's just cardboard. No, I'm just kidding. It's back here. Ooh, that looks so good in real life. Look at that. That is a badass photo. Whoever took this from one photographer to another, you're doing God's work. This is amazing. Oh, and we got a note. To my space son, may the force be with you. That's kind of an inside joke. She does a really great Hera cosplay, and we're doing like a little small movie together. It's called Doom, where I play Ezra and she plays Hera. John Rodriguez, aka Alpha Ignition, plays Kanan, and Kiefer Jenkins plays director. He's the man behind Jet Streak Inc., the production team behind the short film, and he actually hasn't even told me when this comes out. So I will link his channel up here for you. So go subscribe to him right now before you forget, because this is his movie. It's not mine. It's not going to be on my channel. You have to go to his. Anyways, whew. Okay, so here we are. I just laid out the full costume on my desk, and I will go over each and every one of these in more detail, but quick overview. We got the boots with the same foam that I used to create these shin guards. We got the jacket. This was the most time-consuming, most difficult out of everything. We got these brown pants, which I got from LL Bean, and I was super excited for them because look at this. It comes with like a little orange strip. I saw that and I was like, sold. Next up, we got some gloves here. These also took a ridiculous amount of time. Here is the wrist com, which this is like a 3D print that I got off Etsy, so I can't take credit for this, but I did paint it. And the leather wrist strap I did make from scratch. I mean, not like from scratch, like I didn't make the vinyl. I don't know how to hide a cow or whatever. I have no idea how that's made. I understand it's fake. It's fake leather. We got the lightsaber, which I got from Saber Forge. We got, I don't even know what this is called. This is a belt. This is the belt buckle. Then we have a DL44 blaster over here. We got the scarf. This also took a ridiculous amount of time. I do want to redo that because it's super uncomfortable and just not practical to wear at all, but I've been putting it off because it was so difficult. And then lastly, we have the armor, the shoulder armor. And yes, this is Taylor Gray's signature. He's the voice actor for Ezra, in case you didn't know. Oh, and there's one other, this stuff, which I'll go over when I go over the pants. We're starting off with the boots. I don't know what I'm doing. We got the boots and the shin guards here because they're essentially just the same thing. So starting with the boots, I didn't make these. These are Timberlands. I've had these forever. They're super beat up and dirty and rugged looking and perfect, I think, for an Ezra cosplay. Plus, it also meant that I didn't have to spend even more money on this costume for new boots. So we got shoe armor here, which I think I Velcroed. I'm gonna keep that there because I'm pretty sure it's glued. The shin guards, these are just foam. Here's an example. It's called EVA foam. This is a very popular cosplay material. I actually have on my Instagram a highlight of me making this. So if you want to check that out, go check out my Instagram highlight. But yeah, you make a pattern in the foam and you cut it out, you prime it, and then this paint is just airbrush. First time I ever used an airbrush, and it took forever. Is this supposed to take forever? Anyone? This took forever. Especially these orange strips. You wouldn't think it because it's so small, but I probably did, like, this is 15 coats. Yeah, and then these just wrap around my leg and they stay there with Velcro. I'm being the opposite of delicate right now because foam is very flexible, and if it loses its shape, you can always get it back with a heat gun and just like reshaping it, and all the wrinkles will just disappear. It's amazing. It's a really cool material. We got the pants. The first time I wore my cosplay out in public, I used these terrible brown, uncomfortable pants that came with like a $25 Obi-Wan costume, and I could hardly move. Like going up and down stairs was a struggle. But these, I got these at LL Bean. They stretch and they're durable and they just feel right. You know what I mean? Plus this orange stripe, it's just Along with the pants come these things. These don't come with the pants, I bought them, but they go underneath the pants. I forget what these are called. Shirt stays. You basically put your leg, like this goes around your leg like that, and then these things are clamps that clamp down on your shirt. Like pretend that's my shirt right here, so that your shirt is always taut like that. You know how like if you're wearing a dress shirt with like dress pants and something, as soon as you go like that, just everything just flies out, and you gotta... Not with these. These are made for like that exact situation, but they're amazing for cosplay also. Kind of embarrassing that I'm even showing you that I wear these, but I wouldn't be able to live with myself if I didn't at least mention them, because they're amazing. I highly recommend them. Get over the embarrassment and treat yourself. I got them off Amazon. Kind of expensive, they're like 45 bucks, but I'm pretty sure I saw cheaper ones. Okay, next up, the gun holster. I got this off Etsy. I'm pretty sure it's 3D printed. I think it was pretty cheap too. I think I paid like $13 for this. I couldn't find an exact Ezra replica, so this is the closest that I could come up with. And then on the left thigh is just padding for the lightsaber so it doesn't scratch up your left leg. Good thinking, Ezra. And then here is the belt buckle. Another cosplayer, non-binate, told me about this other material that's a little bit harder than EVA foam. It's called Sintra. People typically describe it as a cross between EVA foam and PVC pipe. I got this off Amazon. It's cheap. I'll throw a link down below. And then this, all of this leather, this is vinyl. I got it off of Fabric Wholesale Direct.com. It's a big online fabric store. I think every type of material that I have, other than like the foam and the Sintra, came from this one online store. This is vinyl. It looks like leather, that's the point. Leather is, I guess, much harder to come by, or at least much more expensive, so that's why people use vinyl. And at first, I made this, but with like one layer, and so if this ever like flapped open like that, you would see this ugly white side. So what I did was just cut out two patterns like this, and then sandwich them together so that none of this white stuff would show. White stuff. I need to find the technical term for that. I can't keep calling it white stuff. Got some leather straps. Are held on by a combination of heavy-duty snaps, but not really, because as soon as you walk, they come apart. Which is why I also put Velcro there, which helps a little bit, but they keep like flying off of my legs, like in the middle of me just being a person on a convention floor, just it's a very awkward experience. This lightsaber, I got this off Saberforge. The official Saberforge title for this design is called the Adept. It's not super good quality. Like on day one, this thing broke off. I had to like contact cement it back on. A week later at a convention, while I was meeting Taylor Gray, this red knob just kind of came loose and it was just dangling by like a wire. And it was super embarrassing because I handed it to Taylor Gray so that he could hold it in our photo together, and it was just... I promise I take your characters seriously. It's all I got. I'm trying my best. It also has a battery somewhere. That's a lightsaber. It's okay. The blade is somewhere. All right, next up, the jacket or the sweater, whatever you want to call this nightmare of a project. This by far took the longest. I didn't do this myself. I have to give credit to my grandma. I don't know how sewing machines work. I don't know what different fabrics exist. I don't even know what sewing is. So I decided to pull on my grandmother for help because she's basically a master at sewing. This is my grandma. Say hi, Grandma.
Hi.
She did most of this, to be honest. I was basically just the model. Here's why it was so difficult for me to work with. A, I had never sewn anything before in my life, so this was all new to me. B, the stretchier something is, typically the harder it is to sew. This material is called neoprene, which is the same material that scuba suits are made out of. You know, that like stretchy, rubbery stuff. It's not breathable, so it's super hot to wear. Fun fact. Stretchy, lightweight, but not breathable. Yellow, orange, the brown, green, which I use for like the smallest section on the glove. I got like all these yards worth of this green and I only ended up using like that much. So if this material is so hard to work with and not even breathable, why in all the galaxy would I choose to use neoprene? Well, for me, it just came down to the look. My goal for this project was to achieve screen accuracy. What fabric is going to allow me to look as close to a cartoon character as possible? Because if you look at all the characters in Rebels, everyone's clothing is just perfectly smooth. There's no excess fabric or wrinkles or sagging or texture even. It just looks like everyone's wearing like a thick spandex, and that's exactly what I would describe neoprene as, just thick spandex. So, but that was my goal, screen accuracy. You know, you might have a different goal. Maybe you need to make an entire costume by tomorrow, and your local fabric store doesn't have neoprene because, spoiler alert, no local store has it. Or maybe you just don't care about the look, you care about making something like practical. Whatever, just choose whatever fits with your goal. Just know that while neoprene might look the best, it is hard to find. There's very limited variety. It's super hard to sew with. It's more expensive than other types of cloth, and it's 100% not breathable. So you've been warned. So you might be looking at this yellow and think to yourself, hey, those are different yellows. And you would be right. Because the more I studied Ezra's appearance, the more I realized it's not like this perfect yellow. It's kind of like more gold, but like nobody makes gold fabric. So what I did was I took some, I think it was brown fabric dye that I got from Joann's, but you could also get at Michael's, and I just dyed the yellow into a slightly darker yellow. That's the trimming for all of the sweater. And then this, these are supposed to be like knitted cuffs, and I originally tried to find some knitted fabric material. Like this is the closest that I could find, white knitted fabric, which I then dyed using that same brown dye, and now I have a brown knitted fabric. This looks terrible. So I took a strip, took my sewing machine and some black thread and just sewed on these black stripes. I wish I had a more creative way, but no. And also I chose to make this more of a jacket instead of like a pullover hoodie, which I've seen other people do. I made this little zipper, and then up here there's like a little clip, a snap, which snaps into place. And then these square things, they're magnets. Neodymium magnets are sewn in, because I also got magnets underneath the shoulder armor. That way it just stays on. I used to have Velcro here, but it was like too noisy and just amateurish. Magnets are just easy. They never move. Velcro you could stick to like wherever there's Velcro, but magnets just, there's only one spot. And so it's always perfect as long as you sew them in the right spot. If you had told me that each hand of a glove would take 8 hours to sew, I would have probably quit this entire project altogether. But I figured, maybe 1 hour, 2 hours tops for a little small glove like this. How hard could it possibly be? I also have a story highlight on my Instagram page of me making, I think this exact one. Yep, the left hand. Step by step, if you want to check that out, go check that out. Words. This is Ezra's wrist comm, which I found on Etsy. It's like a perfect replica, 3D printed, but it came unpainted. So I had to paint this myself. I used airbrush, and then I think I contact cemented onto this vinyl wrist cuff thing, and I have it on backwards. So it just fits like that, and I have it on Velcro. I thought about magnets, but it's just not a priority right now. The priority thing that I want to fix first is this nightmare. What is this? This took a long time because it went through many iterations. First of all, to come up with a shape, that took an entire night just for the pattern. It was just trial and error. I started out with like a perfect rectangle. I put it on my neck like this. I was like, that's not even close. Let me try cutting out a little section like that. And I just kept doing that over and over, and finally ended up with this shape, this pattern. But there were other problems too, like other questions and like tough decisions I had to make. First of all, should I sew this onto the orange jacket? How would that work? If this was permanently attached here, then this front zipper thing would serve no purpose, because I would unzip it, but I would still have to like do that anyways, and I would mess up the hairdo, you know? And then I added cloth inside because before, when this cloth wasn't there, if you looked underneath my chin, you would see like a disaster, a disaster of a scarf. So I cleaned it up, kind of. I sewed cloth on top of it. I basically sweeped it under the rug, and it's kind of crazy how this works. If anyone has a better idea, please, for God's sakes, Velcro for that. Okay, and then you just tuck it in on the inside. So now, when you're close up to me and you could see my neck, you don't see a disaster of a stitching project. You just see more yellow cloth and a black t-shirt, probably. Another thing, I usually don't wear t-shirts under this. It's usually just skin and scuba gear. I don't know if that's a better choice, but it's what I did at the beginning. It's what I've been doing since. Every time I put this on, it's really hot anyways. So I can't imagine having another layer in between. I would just be drenched by the end of the day in sweat. I'm not gonna lie, it's not very comfortable. It is very sweaty. It gets hot, but not like really unbearably uncomfortable hot. Like even in a crowded convention center, I was never like, oh, I need to get out of here. At best, it was like, I should probably drink some water. So yeah, so we got that, and then we got this on top of it. And here's one of the reasons why I want to redo this entire neck piece, is for the gaps. You see all this orange here? Ezra doesn't have that. I have it, because I made the mistake of making this neck piece and the shoulder pads separate from each other. I did this first, cut the hole way too big. So when I did this, it was like, well, what do we do about all of this? So you know how I put extra cloth down here? I thought about having it like more cloth on the outside to kind of overlap this gap area. But again, I'm just not sure how that would work. And also, I feel like this is like way too tall. I want this to be like, to sit lower on my neck, something like that, so I can turn my head and not be like, you know? Let's talk about the armor. A lot of the armor in Rebels doesn't look real. It just looks very elastic. And I think that's why a lot of other Ezra cosplayers use cloth for this section, because it looks like clothing. It's flexible, it moves and like stretches, so it's easy to mistake it for cloth. But to me, cloth just never made sense. I always assumed it was a byproduct of the animation style. Why would there just be extra cloth there on Ezra's shoulders? Is it fashion? I don't know, maybe. But then I looked at armor worn by other characters. Specifically, I looked for pieces that there was no question as to whether or not it was supposed to be armor. Like Sabine's armor, for example. Mandalorian Beskar, known for its strength. Look at her shoulders. They're just completely elastic. It's not rigid at all. So why should Ezra's, you know? And like, since Ezra was always on the front lines, always taking fire, you know, like, wouldn't he need some sort of armor? Well, yeah. So I went for it. And my thinking was confirmed at Star Wars Celebration when I met Ezra himself, Taylor Gray. While I was wearing my full costume, I asked him to his face, hey, is this supposed to be armor or cloth? And he said, you know, I wondered the same thing for a while, but one day I just asked Dave and he said it was armor. Filoni and Ezra themselves said that this is armor. So there you go. So that is about it. It's one hell of a thing. For anyone interested in seeing a more detailed instructional guide on how to make any of these pieces, let me know down in the comments what you want to see first, because I'll be honest, I will probably put it off for a very long time, and when I finally get to it, I'll probably start with the easiest thing, like how to make Ezra's belt buckle. So yeah, let me know what you guys want to see first, and I will try my best to prioritize that video in the future. But until then, you will subscribe to my YouTube channel. We will keep on living Star Wars for you. And I will see you in the next video.